How's it going today, guys? Got 5 people in here.
And we're delayed.
We are delayed. Wasn't able to get you fixed over there. Hey, guys. Got 5 people in here. And make sure you turn down your speakers. We are delayed. Find it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have everything.
So
ready
we're having
for
a
you.
little bit of a technical difficulty today. Curtis is running a little bit late. He got caught up at one of our shippers later this afternoon. We're apologizing. He's running about 10, 15 minutes behind. So Bub and myself are going to try to control the show a little bit here. How'd your Eagles do last week?
They won. They were on a bye.
That's that. You can't use that, man.
No, that I did.
So, who all do we have in here?
I thought you said you're gonna fix this delay.
I know it sucks, don't it?
Royally.
Hey, we're doing the best we can with what we got. Is what it is.
Oh.
Teams don't win buys. Yeah, I was just filled in on that.
Thanks, Casey. When you're 3, 4, and 1, that's a victory. Who do you follow, Casey? Do you follow NFL? I see Dan Tijuana has rearranged us once again.
Yeah. Pretty small in here. Got to kind of change it up. Can't wait until the shop gets up so it'll give us a little bit more room.
No, look, there's your wife.
Yep. Hey, we're up to 7. Seems like it's working out pretty good.
I know we don't want to talk politics, but why don't you watch the NFL just because of BLM? You know, Black Lives Matter. Just curious. Everybody has their own beliefs. I get it.
Can everybody hear me okay? Does it sound good? We had to rearrange some of the stuff here in the office to make sure that we get everybody in here for this.
Where's Casey from?
Casey is out in the Defiance area.
I'm guessing he's a Detroit Lions fan.
I don't know. Don't think I've ever had that conversation with him.
You need to get more of your employees' background, see what they like.
Well, I do. I'm not. I kind of feel for Casey. I mean, I'm not a big NFL watcher either.
I'm not a big college watcher.
I'd much rather watch college than I would NFL.
Two different. I mean, it's the same sport, but two different rules. It
is, but the thing is, though, is most of those
football's football.
Huh? Well,
Football's football.
It is. But the issue of it is those college guys. Well, technically, they're not supposed to be making any money.
Well, they're making money. That's why they went to that school.
Yeah. I said technically.
Ooh, Bengals fan. You got a heck of a quarterback right now.
Yep.
I think you're going to be setting pretty good right now if you could just get some of them wide receivers quit being crybabies and play for you. Leanne says a little bit of echo, but which one is it? Is it him or me?
Yeah, it probably would have to be. You're probably picking up off the speakers. Let me take a look at that real quick.
I'll just drop my volume completely now.
Yeah, drop your volume all the way down. There you go. That should do it. Does that sound better, Lee? Hey, the man of the hour just showed up.
What's going on, Joe?
What's going on? What's going on, Curtis?
Doing all right?
How you doing this morning? Or this afternoon?
Afternoon.
It's afternoon.
How you doing, Curtis?
I'm all right.
Don't be tripping over anything. The legend has arrived.
The legend?
The legend.
I wouldn't say all of that.
Oh, come on now.
The man, the myth, the legend?
The man, the myth, the legend. Well, we've been trying to kill a little bit of time here, trying to get some
traffic coming in.
yeah, traffic coming in. So, do we still have that echo, Don?
Let me guess, you're a Colts fan?
Yeah, traffic coming in. So we just got all that. We got all that echo worked out, and here you are bringing stuff into the mix again.
Oh. That's what happens when you show up late and stuff.
That's
But
all
you're
right.
working hard. That's what happens.
Well, when you're staying busy, that's all that matters, right?
That's it.
Yeah. I just created a new intro. Speaking of that, I did create a new intro for the cast here. Hopefully, you guys liked it. Let me know your thoughts on it. I thought it was pretty cool. My kids like it. They thought Dad was pretty cool. So I got a little bit of a chuckle out of that. So hey, that's cool. But
They probably just said that so they could leave the office.
they probably did. They are that way, aren't they?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and start this. Tonight's topic, we're going to be looking at whether or not you want to be a hotshot or whether or not it's better to go into running a semi. Curtis done both. Currently, right now, he's actually working a hotshot
Yes.
with a 38,000-pound plate. That should be able to give you about 18,000 you can put on the deck, give or take.
18,000 pounds.
18,000. So, I think it's best to start out is we're going to get a little bit of a rundown of Curtis himself, who he worked for, what type of equipment that he was running at that point in time, and then we'll kind of dive into a little bit more to go along with it. If you guys have any questions that you would like to ask Curtis, by all means, put them in the comments. I'm sure Bub is going to have some questions for him to go along with it as well.
Oh, I see your dispatcher T says I told him not to be late.
Since she put that out there, tell her that it was her fault.
Well, I wouldn't surprise if she wasn't here today running her crap. He would have been here on time.
I'm glad somebody else knows about it.
Oh yeah.
All right, so Curtis, tell us first of all, who'd you work for?
So, started driving trucks at 21. First company was Maverick. Worked there for 3 years, flatbedding. Then I left there and I did some. What I do? Did some step deck work. Did some low boys, end dumps, oversized, refrigerated, even with Swift.
Swift. Oh, we got to throw the Swift.
Did everybody hear that? He worked for Swift.
I run a dedicated account for Swift.
He worked for Swift. I don't know about this. Maybe we need to cut this short.
Everything I've seen about Swift on TikTok's pretty hilarious.
It is.
You got to stay on TikTok. Now,
Yeah.
everybody's bad.
I will have to tell you, Curtis has got an excellent driving history. No accidents. He is, even though he's worked for Swift, great guy.
No speeding tickets either.
No speeding tickets. So you worked with Maverick.
Work with Maverick, yeah.
Now, a lot of guys are probably going to ask you, what type of equipment? What did you run? A freight shaker, a Kenworth? What did you end up?
I ran 2015 Freightliner Cascadia,
Okay.
mid-roof, and what is that, condo.
Okay.
And I ran numerous different types of trailers as far as the flatbeds go, different years, but all aluminum trailers.
Okay.
Spread axle, 48-foot spread.
Now, as far as the power plant, what would you end up running in the power plant?
Power plant.
The
Motor. Engine.
Was it an auto shift or was it 13?
Maverick ran auto shift, 12 speeds.
Okay.
And then I switched over At Swift, I had a 13 speed,
Okay.
brand new truck, 13 speed. Other than that, I mean, it ain't nothing I ain't drove. Nothing
Okay.
I ever hauled. Nothing. I can
No.
go,
Maverick, they're red with the cards, right?
Maroon,
Maroon with the cards.
Yep.
Now, where are they out of?
Little Rock, Arkansas.
What are they actually? I mean, I see a lot of them up around this area, especially on 69 and 469. Like going to GM, they run the parts for GM or
They run a lot of coils.
steel coils.
Steel coils. They have a glass haul division too that they run a lot out of.
Okay.
Up into Canada, they do all 48 too.
So with your stretch with Maverick, as far as a flatbed driver, tell us a little bit of how you were set up as an actual driver.
I was a regional driver, and then a year after my 1 year mark, I became a driver instructor. And so I was home just about every weekend. I was up to, I want to say about 65 cents a mile.
Okay, so you were not considered an owner operator at that point.
I was not considered an owner operator at that time. No.
Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into the company driver, because basically it's 65 cents a mile.
65
You're
cents a
you're
mile.
a company driver.
Yep.
Now that was on a regional haul.
Yep.
And roughly how many miles a week did you get on that particular regional haul?
25 to 3,000.
Okay, now that was pretty consistent.
Stay consistent.
So typically we don't get into dollars and what all that, but you guys can actually extrapolate from that. We're not going to go down that road. We don't want to talk about pay rates or anything like that. But so to put that in perspective, as a company driver, are you just as happy running your own Hotshot now as you were being a company driver?
It's a good question. I'll say yeah.
So yeah. Okay. What are the pros and the cons?
Pros of me running my own is the freedom. Being able to turn down a load and go home if I choose to.
Okay.
Maverick was a forced dispatch.
Okay.
You kind of got to.
Well, that's pretty much that's the state of anybody that works. That works. For,
pretty much a guarantee. Like you got to take what you get.
Right.
But with me running my own truck now, I have that option of just saying, you know what, I'm just going home. So
You're just done. You're just done for the week.
I don't feel like doing it.
And you did, and that was one of the flexibilities that you did not have when you're working with Maverick, as far as being a company paid.
As far as being a company paid driver.
Now, as far as a stretch, how you were home every weekend, or what?
I was home probably 95% of the time.
Every weekend.
Every weekend.
Now, did you run a particular lane?
No.
So you were pretty much everywhere within the region.
Anywhere and everywhere within the region.
Okay. So where did your region pretty much end at?
No farther west than 35.
At 35. Okay.
And then anywhere East Coast up and down. I did not go into New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. I never touched the northern East Coast.
Northeast. Okay.
I was pretty much just anywhere within the Midwest.
So then I'm going to be safe to say that once you moved from Maverick as a company driver, you probably that's when you made the change to Swift?
No.
No. Okay.
No. When I left Maverick, I went to the company called Ingram Brothers, who was in dumps.
Okay.
Dump trailers.
And you were still a company driver at that point
Still
in
a
time?
company driver at that point in time.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you like running the end dumps more than you did running the flatbeds for?
No.
Why is that?
Flatbed is work. Keeps me in shape.
Keeps you in shape. So that's something that you do enjoy about.
I'm guessing in dumps you might get in some really hairy situations.
I would have to assume. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like around here, we get a lot of chicken crap running around in end dumps.
Yeah.
Well, in dumps it can be dangerous if you're not careful.
Right.
You get some of those trailers that are frameless and you tip them up, the wind blows the right direction, you going over.
Okay.
So that's something to definitely be.
Now that's something, but when you're running an end dump, that's more of a localized, particular type
Definitely
of gig.
local.
Definitely local.
Yeah, I ran in dumps though over OTR. I went to these dumps with it. So
Really, on an end dump.
on an end dump.
So what kind of material were you pulling at that point?
road salt.
Road salt?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
salt.
Okay, I can see that. Okay. So then after you went and worked for them, who'd you work for after that?
Where did I go? Company called ATS.
Okay,
And
I'm
that
familiar
was
with
where
ATS.
I
Okay.
did the lease purchase owner operator.
So that's where you decided to get out from being a company driver to go into an actual lease purchase program.
Yes.
Okay.
So on your end dump, did you ever run any grain too?
Yes, I did. I ran grain for about 2 months with
Okay.
the end up.
With an end dump.
With an end dump.
Yeah.
Okay. So with you going and working with ATS, as far as, and I know we're kind of switching around here. I'm trying to keep it moving along as quick. I try to keep it to an hour if we can.
Now with the professor talking.
But anyways, well, we're trying to get some good information here because there's a lot of guys out there that are looking to make this switch, whether or not you're going to go and run a Hotshot or whether or not you're going to run a semi. And we kind of want to touch on what's the advantages, what's the difference. So when you went to ATS and you decided to become a lease purchase operator, first of all, what type of equipment did you try to lease purchase?
I had a 2012 Volvo 680, I believe.
Okay,
It was with the Caterpillar motor in it.
good motor.
You would think.
You would think it'd be a good motor.
You would think.
Okay,
And I just had a lease trailer from them, van trailer.
a van. So you ran van. So
I
you,
ran
you
van.
swapped it up.
Swapped all the way out to a van.
So you were a door bumper.
I was.
Okay, all right. Now, while you were doing that, tell me a little bit. Being that you made the switch over from a lease purchase operator to a from a company driver to a lease purchase. So you were a completely. So tell us a little bit of a rundown how the company broke that down for you. Do you remember? I know it's been a little while.
Oh, it's been a while. I can't tell off the top of my head. It's just, here's the keys. Sign your name on this paperwork. 100% walk away if you don't want to do it. If it's not working for you, then you can bring the truck back and be done. I mean,
Okay.
So did you have to pay for maintenance yourself on that?
yes, it did.
All your oil changes, fuel,
Make breakdowns, everything.
it was all
Tires.
yours.
Now, when you got into the lease, when you entered into that lease purchase, did they give you a brand new truck or
No.
was it a used?
Mine was used with 300,000 miles on
Okay, 300,000 miles on it. Now, he had a Caterpillar motor. I'm assuming that you had a 13 speed.
it. 10.
You had a 10 speed.
10 speed.
Okay. So tell us the first major problem that you had out of that truck.
Turbo.
Turbo. That's an expensive endeavor.
3 months. 3 months into me running turbo.
So you actually owned the truck for 3 months,
Yep.
and it broke down. Estimate how much did it cost you? Have you ever calculated how much it actually physically cost you for being down?
Nope. I can tell you it was $50 a day for 5 days, and that was being lucky to get straight into the Caterpillar shop to get it fixed. Actually, so it took 5 days to do that. $50 hotel rooms plus the food or whatever, and then the bill I believe was like $2,500 or something like that
For the repair.
for the repair.
So what exactly went wrong with it? Do you know?
I didn't
Okay.
sign
Did
my name. Here we go.
I was gonna say, was the turbo completely freaking froze up or just freezing so it
I
seizes?
didn't remember.
$2,500 for a turbo is pretty cheap, so it couldn't have been anything major.
I don't believe it was something major, but it was about $2,500.
$2,500 running the road's a lot of money.
Well, it is, but
Starting out at that.
but the thing is, you've got to realize there's a lot of guys who get and run these semis, and they buy them with 300, 400, 500,000 miles on them, and then the truck goes out, and then they end up blowing up, or they end up having a turbo issue, and it can cost them $10,000 to $15,000
Right.
to get it repaired. You're also, I mean, you also have to worry about the transmission and stuff like that. So I'm going to assume that it probably wasn't an incredibly major expense, but you can get into a lot of money when you're dealing with a turbo. Also, because you got it from ATS, they may have had some sort of a warranty coverage on that to be able to help you out to mitigate that cost. Am I right?
Yes.
You would assume. So
Yeah.
that's probably the reason why you only had to come up with that. But at the same time, I'm sure ATS had a maintenance fund that you had to have in place, correct?
Yes, they did. 26 cents a mile.
26 cents a mile just for maintenance.
Just for maintenance.
Okay. And anytime you had to pull from that, you had to pull from it and put it into the truck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Casey says that he had a turbo blow, and
Casey,
on
yeah.
him, I had a turbo blow up on me in Valparaiso, Indiana.
Really?
That's what he says.
Wow.
I was in Columbus, Ohio.
Really?
270.
Really? So after you got done with AT, when you did that with ATS, what other issue? That was the first time that you had a problem with the truck,
Yeah.
right? All right. So did you have a secondary problem with it?
4 drive tires.
So you had to put it on. So you've already spent all your money that you had worked out. And you got to keep in mind when you're dealing with a lease purchase program, it depends on the company and how they have everything set up, which is going to dictate how much money you get to actually keep for yourself. So in that case, I'm guessing you were probably looking at number one, you had 26 cents a mile that you had to do for maintenance.
Yeah.
What did you have to pay on the truck itself
600 a week.
per week?
$600 a week.
600 per week.
Per week.
Okay. Is there anything else that you had to pay on the truck that time?
IFTA, plates, insurance, and then my maintenance account.
Okay, so you're basically saying for a lease purchase program truck at 300,000 miles, you had to pay roughly $2,400 a month plus 26 cents a mile.
Yeah.
So if you're doing 26 cents a mile, that's $260 per thousand. If you're doing 3,000 miles a week, that's 520. That's going to be another $700
You had to pay them $700.
additionally for maintenance.
What'd you say? What tires you said you went out drive?
Yeah.
Drive tires.
Drive tires.
4 drives.
So did you have them recapped or did you put all new on?
Recaps.
Recaps.
Okay. So you're looking at, I'm just quick math here. We're looking at roughly, because you said you did 25 to 3,000 miles a week. So we're just doing some quick math here. So roughly you're saying that on top of your $600 per week that you had to pay for your lease payment on your truck, you had to cover another $700 a week, basically, just for maintenance on that truck.
Just for maintenance on that truck.
Okay, now, all right, so, and I'm assuming that all comes out of your drive, or the drive tires would come out of your maintenance fund?
Yeah.
Okay, and all that stuff. So technically, you're paying, now, when the truck is paid off, now this is an important question because a lot of guys are probably going through this right now. At the end of your term, at the end of your lease, do they take the remaining amount that's in your maintenance fund and apply it to the truck, or do they keep that?
As long as you're running for them, or are you saying once you leave, or if you were to take the truck and leave?
Okay,
So if you take the truck and leave, then they give you a check for the remaining balance.
okay. So they'll give you a check for the remaining balance that you have in your maintenance fund. So if it's $20,000 or $30,000, which is, I mean, with what you're telling me, it's definitely doable.
It's reasonable. Yeah.
Okay, so they can do that. Now, when you first purchase a truck, do you remember what you gave for the truck to begin with?
$1.
You paid $1 for the truck.
$1 to get it.
Sounds like a Fred Grody deal right there.
That's a.
But see, now a lot of companies are offering $0 down.
They offer them down. However, I mean, you're looking at $2,400. I mean, back then that's $2,400 a month for a used truck, plus another $700 a week. I mean, that's another 20. You're paying, dude. That's almost $6,000 a month. $6,000 a month for a truck. Really? Am I wrong?
So
You
Casey,
said roughly $700 a week for maintenance.
For maintenance.
Then you had $600 a week
For a truck payment.
for a truck payment. So that's $1,500, right?
Yeah.
1,500.
I want to say I was around like $1,700 to $1,800 a week, just for the truck and everything that was tied to
Roughly around $1,700 a week is what you're paying for a truck.
$1,700, $1,800 a week.
Now, I don't want to go into, but as far that type of investment, I'm just going to ask you, do you feel as though that for that type of investment, did you make it on your return?
No.
You didn't.
No.
So okay,
obviously that's the
but-
reason why you got out of it.
well, you got to
That
ask.
can also be, am I running the truck the right way?
It can be.
Am I,
And it's just like going to buy a new car off a lot right now. You could drive off with a lemon and be You know, making payments on
Yeah.
it, you know, or you could never
Right.
have an issue with the vehicle either.
I guess the point I'm trying to get at is, okay, so if that was the case and you're spending that kind of money, he should have something to show for it at the end of the week, right? Okay, so were you making as much as what you were being a company driver by being a leased owner operator?
Yes.
You were?
Yep.
Okay. Did you feel as though that it was comfortable enough for you to be safe? Do you understand what I mean by being safe?
Yeah.
You did? Okay. All right. So then the money was there, is what you're saying. The money was there. At least it seemed like it at the time.
Yeah.
Okay. When you turned the truck back in, how many miles did you have?
I ran, I think 80,000 miles on it.
Wow, so it was for a short period of time.
Yeah, I didn't run too many.
Okay,
I
so
didn't stick around too long.
so why didn't you stick around that long?
I feel like there should be more money coming home. Compared to a company driver, if I'm seeing it just about the same, I might as well go back to a company
So
driver.
you were making just as much as a company driver, but yet, so you really weren't making any more money by leasing, but yet you had everything and all the overhead to go along with it.
Exactly.
I see what you're saying now. Okay. Would it be safe to assume that you were over 1,000 a week?
Yes.
Okay. Would it be conservative to say you were under 1,500 a week?
No.
Okay, so you were able to hit a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
But you would say that it was very comparable to what you were doing as a company driver.
As a company driver.
And have covered everything if the truck
Exactly.
broke down. See, that's one thing that a lot of guys don't realize either. So I mean, sometimes you can spend $20,000 or $30,000 on a rebuild or an in-frame on a truck.
Yeah.
You can spend a lot of money getting those things put back up. And then the thing is too is you've got a lot of these guys or these repair shops that absolutely have no idea how to fix something out on the road.
Yep.
So then you'll get mediocre service, and then you'll end up being screwed because then you'll have to go back and repay it again because they didn't do it right the first time.
Yep.
And you can't sit there and argue with them while it's all being done. So you're sitting there fighting with them to be able to get it all squared away.
But Casey said that when his turbo blew up in Valparaiso, Indiana, it was 10 years ago in a Volvo. And I asked him, I said, you know what the cost was? He says, I didn't pay for it. Luckily, I was a company driver. He said, but he did have to, however, to drive the truck back to Waseon, Ohio with no turbo bobtail.
Which that would suck. That would
Oh,
have
yeah.
absolutely no power whatsoever.
None.
None. So we're looking at this. Okay, so we're moving on from ATS and we're going to go. What else? Did
I'm
you
waiting
do
for the
out there?
Swift stories.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the Swift too.
I'm waiting for the Dan stories, too. The FLQ stories. Come on, man. Come on.
So after you turn in 80,000 miles is not that long. That means you only work with ATS for what? Maybe 2 or 3 months. 6 months, maybe.
About 6 months.
About 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say I didn't give it enough time.
And you may not have.
I may not have. But see, I was also trying to feel my way through it
Okay.
to see if this is something that I'm doing.
Now, so when you
Would
went
you
with
still
the-
classify yourself as a beginner then?
As then or now?
Then.
Then yes.
So you were still considered as a beginner owner operator, or as a beginner just driver in general,
Both.
or both?
I would probably say beginner owner operator.
Okay. Okay. Because
At
that
that
makes a
point-
difference.
At that point, I was 5 or 6 years in, so I kind of knew
You knew what you were doing.
what to do. And how
Were you
to do it.
feeling comfortable when you went into that position? Like, hey, man, I got this right now. You know, like I'm good. And then like,
Good. I know how to
oh
run this
man,
truck.
air brakes. Psst, you know,
I know
oh
how to run this truck. I can put the wheels down. I know how to keep between the mayonnaise and the mustard. Like,
Well, there's a
what's more to trucking besides this? Because like I said, I did flatbedding.
right.
So now I'm a dock bumper, door slammer. It's got to be cake,
Right.
you know. So I'm like, this ain't gonna be no big deal. But then once you start getting into the semis and you start calculating, like, I got a maintenance account now. I got to think about all this fuel, and you start thinking about everything. So now I'm trying to put it all together to see what's that good median.
does the expense, is the return on investment? Because you got to look at it any time you buy a truck, and the investment that you put towards that truck. You got to look at it as, is that investment worth the return that I'm getting on it? And if you're not getting a good return on that investment, I mean, you're very short to making one bad choice and you're screwed. And that's a lot of drivers fall into that category because you would literally have to watch your nickels to be able to make it work on a big truck.
You have
A lot of times, you can't just throw something out there and expect everything to work because it's just, I mean, you'd be SOL. I mean, you can't make stuff like that work. So once you move from ATS, where'd you go from after that?
FedEx Ground.
So you went to FedEx Ground.
FedEx Ground.
You worked for FedEx.
Worked for FedEx Ground. Yeah. For a contractor at FedEx. Yeah.
For a contractor at FedEx. So you weren't actually there with FedEx. You worked for FedEx, but you were working for a contractor that was.
So Ground is contractors and
Right.
Freight is actually a FedEx company.
Okay.
So there's two different divisions in that. And then so I worked for a contractor at FedEx Ground.
Okay.
I did that for 2 years.
Okay.
Pulling doubles.
Now, did you enjoy that?
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
So if you enjoyed it, I'm assuming you weren't a lease owner operator at that time.
No.
Okay. I'm assuming that you were actually still considered a company driver.
Yep.
So I'm going to assume that basically the reason why you left FedEx was because of
Hotshot.
you wanted to get into Hotshot at that time.
Hotshot. Yep.
We haven't touched on Swift yet.
We can go back to Swift.
Well, Joshua wrote in. He says, "What's the point of this video?"
Joshua who?
Next.
The point of the video is to discuss whether or not it's good or not to get into semi or hotshot. Period. So, all right. So so you went in with FedEx.
Mhm.
All right. And you said you wanted to get into hotshot from there.
Yep.
So, you made the move, and so I guess the question is do you enjoy hotshot more than what you did running the tractor?
I'll say yeah.
You hesitated there.
Yeah, I'll say I enjoy it. I enjoy it because I'm free. And I say free because you get stuck out the weekend, I'm in a car. You know, I'm in a pickup truck.
Right.
I can sightsee for the most part.
So is it one of those things where you'd like to go back?
To semi?
To a semi eventually?
No.
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 Don't want to do a semi?
No.
Not for anything? Not for any reason?
Good money, I might do it, but
See, you're going to be the second or third guy who has actually told me that. I've had a couple of guys who have. I've talked to Casey on several occasions, and Casey has said the exact same thing. Casey said, running a semi just can suck at times.
it definitely can.
Now, I'd have to say that as far as when it comes to comfort is probably going to be. You'll probably have to be more comfortable in a semi.
Definitely.
Depending on your size.
Yeah.
If you're a smaller guy, you're not going to, you can make it work in a shot. You got a question?
Yeah, so like you say, depending on the money. So obviously, if you could be home every night,
Nah.
no,
More so the money.
more so the money.
More so the money.
Show me the money, Dad.
Show me
I mean, the thing is the thing is a lot of people want it all about money, and it is. But at the same time, you got to work with a company that's got some freedom too.
Well, I know some people that here have their own semis and they run from here to, I'm guessing SDI to Chicago and back.
Yeah.
And I don't. Obviously, they must be doing pretty good at that.
Yeah. There are major differences about what you can do on a semi compared to what you can do on a shot. Yeah, I mean, there are some times where, as far as running lanes, you're more apt to be able to really be able to do that on a semi.
Yep.
A lot of the times, but on hot shot you can't for the most part because you got to go where the freight takes you for the most part.
You gotta go where the freight is.
Got to go where the freight. Takes
Yeah, Joshua, I agree with you. That's just what we touch base here about. Driving a semi over a hot shot. And the cost is higher, like you say, and the return on living situation is better. you can be comfortable in the bigger trucks. We just touched that. Hopefully you just got that. So, and like Casey come back and says, it's going for comfort semi, if going for ease of loading and less harassment, Hotshot. So,
Do you feel as though that you do have a lot less harassment when you're in a hot shot, or do you think it? I know a lot of the semi guys, they don't like us hot shots. Sometimes they don't want to. Because they think we take all the light stuff. But I don't really buy that. So I guess some cases it's the truth.
I don't get harassed as much now. Don't get it wrong. DOT does like us.
The DOT does like us. I will say that.
DOT does like us, but as far as shippers go, we don't really have nowhere near as many problems as we do when you're in a semi.
That's exactly another comment that Casey.
He also come back and said, Joshua says you can't be in this business and not know how to maintain your own equipment. That's the biggest expense besides fuel and insurance, which we just kind of touched base on a little bit too.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes that's a really big. But then you've also got to realize too, there's a lot of people out there that do get into this, that get in a situation like these companies will sell these lease purchase programs to the trucks, to the drivers, and the drivers have no way to maintain their trucks whatsoever. So they always have to be put into a shop. So if you don't know what you're doing when you're maintaining a truck or have a shop to be able to maintain that truck, your cost to operate that truck is probably going to be twice as much as somebody who has a shop and who has a way to maintain it. Not everybody is mechanically inclined. They're just not.
Right.
And that's the unfortunate part about this is, if you know how to go out there and to tear a head off of a truck, do an upper rebuild, or if you know how to do an in-frame, you're great. You'll be fine. But the issue of it is a lot of guys don't know how to do that. And with these electronic motors, 9 times out of 10, you got to put them in the shop now. Now, if you're talking about pre-emissions, 2000, your
old
99s, old school trucks, not a problem. There's a lot of guys who can tear into those and absolutely have no problem working on them and completely redoing them on their own.
So did you do any of your own like oil changes, your own maintenance as far as that, adjusting brakes or anything, or you had everything paid done? That way you had receipts to prove and show.
I would assume though, because of his lease purchase program, he had to have that.
Had to have it because it was under warranty. There was a small warranty on there. Didn't cover much, but there was a warranty that, if it wasn't done by a ASE certified diesel mechanic
or the Freightliner or whoever or the dealership,
then it voids the warranty.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean, there's a fine line in that, what you can and can't do.
Another thing that I've heard too, and the reason why I've heard it is because a lot of guys have told me that, let's say, for example, that you had a warranty work done on the truck. And let's say you went and you bought one of these extended warranties on a truck, and it covered it from powertrain to powertrain. But let's say the dealership before that, they didn't change part of the turbo correctly or something like that, and then the motor blew. So then they wouldn't cover that simply because it was called a pre-existing fault or something like that. Yeah. Now I've heard of that happening, and I know some guys who are actually in litigation over something like that, which is absolutely ridiculous. But that's that's what you got to worry about.
Yeah.
And then I've also heard that a lot of these guys, what they'll do, or these dealerships, is because some of these dealerships actually sell the warranties, but then they'll come back and they'll say, well, we're not going to cover the warranty because it was a driver error, or it was because of the driver.
That's iffy. I mean, I understand
but
that.
A lot of them get away with it. And how many drivers don't ever go and fight up against it?
I mean, if you really want to be technical, I guess you break your cell phone out and say, look, I'm checking the oil,
Well, I suppose.
That type of thing.
Okay.
Josh come back and said he came in late and he was sorry. And he said that he used to work for FLQ.
Yeah. So.
Oh, sorry. But Tina also come back and said, I had many people tell me that they are so easy in and out with the shippers and receivers being on dispatch side of things.
We hear that an awful lot. A lot of the guys actually do make comments where they sit there and they say, well, there's a lot of times where it's you get in and out of facilities a lot quicker. You're not waiting like at a dock for a couple of hours simply because you're waiting to get loaded and et cetera, et cetera. So some of those things, I guess, is definitely valid points.
I think the most that we have in the hot shot is figuring out how to load the trailer properly.
Okay.
We
Because,
spend
because of the weight.
because of weight, trying to distribute weight
Yeah.
evenly, what's going to be the most fuel efficient way to load it, So I ran into that problem today. So
Okay.
And Josh come back here. Josh, hopefully you don't get mad. I call him Joshua. He says, in my opinion, Hotshot is more for people who need something hauled immediately.
A lot of
And-
times it is, yeah.
So in return, they should be paid more than a semi because of the Hotshot overnight of, he says, UPS.
You're right to a point. The problem you run into, though, is now because of the e-logs and everything that's going on, the only way you're going to be, if somebody's going to want something moved that fast, a lot of times you're going to end up having to use a team truck. Because most generally, a Hotshot's going to be, they'll be able to get it there a little bit quicker, but it's not, it's not going to be like, you're not going to get into like a couple hour difference, is basically what it's going to be. As far as doing like an expediting or whatnot, now, like if you get into oil field, you run an oil field, a lot of times what I'll end up taking, they actually pay you to run stuff illegal. They pay really good money, but you're going to be expected to run it illegal. And that's something that a lot of
Oh,
carriers,
you mean a little 81,000?
a little 81,000?
I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, I got you. But not everybody runs that way. But there are a lot of guys who do get into this. That there are companies out there that will pay you to be illegal, and that's something that we just don't do that.
oh, don't I know?
We're not going to do that. So,
Has there been many times you had to pull off the side and get weighed?
Yeah,
Portables?
on a semi or on a hot shot,
both.
you've actually been weighed on a portable scale on a hot shot.
I've seen it happen on Jericho Road.
Really?
Yes.
Yep. State.
Wow.
With the low boy.
Really?
A paving company local around here.
Wow.
Pulled out the portables and put them underneath the tires and made them pull up on them.
So now we've looked at this and now we're kind of getting an idea of why you particularly like the hot shot realm a little bit better than you do the semi. Now, do you think the money's comparable?
From owner operator or from company driver compared to?
Well, yeah, from the owner operator side of things.
From the owner operator side of things, I prefer hot shot over that any day, mainly because of maintenance.
Mainly because of maintenance.
You're talking a roadside call, $300 to get somebody out there to change the tire. Then something I can do myself.
Right. Yeah. Now you can do it on your own rather than have the call.
Home. My tires are $100 and some cheaper.
Yeah.
Compared to buying semi tires, recaps or new.
But you've also got to realize too, there's several different forms of hot shot that are out there too. You have the hot shot that is basically you're carrying under 10,000 pounds on the deck of the trailer. And then you have other hot shots that we're talking about 18,000 and under. And this is where Curtis falls in line with that. Curtis is actually set up as, like I said, 38,000 pound gross weight. So that means he can carry about 18,000 on the deck of his trailer. It's a much different story between a 10,000 pound trailer.
Yeah.
Much different story. Different types of classifications. And it's just the revenue is a little bit different going from an 18,000 down to a 10,000. That doesn't necessarily mean that the 10,000 pound guys can't make it.
Right.
The market conditions have got to be right. Certain aspects of what you're hauling has got to be figured into that equation and so on and so forth. We have plenty of guys that actually come comparable to our CDL qualified hotshot guys. The only difference of it is that you guys have got way more consistency because you can carry the heavier weights on a week by week basis compared to the guys who are basically running the smaller stuff. So yeah, pretty good info.
I have a question. Hopefully this thing ain't get off topic.
No,
It's
go
still
ahead.
about trucking, but now that since the governors are coming out and talking about this COVID stuff, have you seen anything change since the first part of the week or since the last part of the week? Stepping up more, going back into the safety of the mask and don't come in this area and stay away from my employees type thing, since, I know it's still in the early basis because most of the governors made their announcements last night.
Since I've been back after the COVID shut down, it's still been steady. I haven't really seen any changes as far as the COVID stuff goes. Everybody wants you to still wear your mask everywhere you go.
Right.
You know, so.
But I know that the governors have came out in the past, what was it, last night, DeWine,
24 hours.
Yeah,
Right.
24 hours. I didn't know if you've been anywhere in the past 24 hours where they're like really stepping it up, because here in the little town where we're at, I mean, the local gas stations are really starting to step it up big time.
Nope. I haven't really seen a change.
So you're probably going to be seeing it here pretty soon.
Yeah, during the COVID, there a lot of people during COVID when it was really, well, it's still hot and heavy, but we actually shut down for what, a
3
month?
4 months.
We shut down for 3 months.
Well, at least I did.
Yeah, well, we gave the drivers a choice to either shut down or keep going.
So I mean, in that case, if you were still driving during that shutdown, and obviously you weren't there, but do you think you would have to stay in your vehicle the whole time and somebody would just come to you? Or do you think you would still have, I mean, obviously you have to get out and strap down and everything afterwards, but I mean, whenever everybody clears.
So what I have noticed is that anytime you're out of the truck, they want you to wear a mask.
Right.
It's just, whether you're outside, strapping your loads or anything, they still want you to have a mask on. Just anywhere. It doesn't, inside the truck or outside the truck.
I didn't know if they would just request you to be inside the truck the whole time until you're loaded and then get out, or.
Nope.
I mean, obviously, you still have your free right to do what you want,
Right.
but
No, they haven't requested that yet.
Yeah. No, I think as far as the way things have been going here lately, I think it's been going incredibly well for a lot of the guys right now. I think it's. I mean, do you agree? I mean, do you think things have been
I'm
going
doing a
well?
great job. Shout out to Tina.
Tina's been doing an amazing
Tina's been
job.
doing an
Thank you,
amazing
Tina. Appreciate it.
oh, come on, guys.
I know, right?
Hey, Casey come back in on that comment that I asked. He said some places care, but honestly, their load will load you with no problem. I've only had my temperature taken once since the start.
Yeah. The whole point of COVID is there were some places who literally had to shut down, depending on what type of market that you were working in. You didn't have a choice because it wasn't there to get. Then you run into some of the guys who actually was able to still run, like your refrigerated and your vans. They were killing it during that time because they were trying to restock all of the
Walmart's.
Walmart's, yeah,
Costco's.
Costco's, whatever. They were trying to refill all that
So
stuff.
since we're on the Costco deal, I work for Swift, running the dedicated Costco account.
Really?
So it was
Did you haul a lot of toilet paper?
probably. Honestly, no, I did, like I said, I did refrigerated, so I hauled a lot of the produce, stuff like that.
So let's try to get back up on topic here. Okay, so we're looking at, okay, like I've talked to you before, I'm looking into getting a couple of rigs. I'm looking at getting 2-day cabs and maybe 2 road trucks. Okay.
Stay away.
And we've had.
Now, see,
What'd you say?
I said stay away. Your own driver just told you to stay away.
Well, we're going to break it down. What's the pros and the cons? So,
He's already done the pros and the cons. He already told you.
Well, I know, but what I want to do is I want to go through it step by step so that people that are listening to this can get some sort of an idea.
Okay,
of
so-
what they're doing.
A question.
Okay.
We talked about the owner lease options.
Okay.
You break down. You had to pay for it. What happens if you don't have the money to pay for it? Does that come back on you then? Let's say Dan was the one that leased it to you. You don't have the money to pay for it because you're just starting off.
So how ATS did it is even if the money's not there, they're still going to cover it to get you back on the road.
But then you just had to probably make
Then you
payments.
gotta pay them back.
Okay.
So now that's what it's not racking up. It's going right
So-
back to them.
Then if you quit, do they still come after you? They go,
They holding that last check, but
yeah. But then all the rest of it's that's still there. Say if it's a major big issue, you know what I
they'll
mean?
come for you.
So it's just like hospital bills. They're coming after you.
Oh yeah, they'll come after you. Yeah, if you leave a trucking company, well, it depends on the size of the trucking company and the trucking outfit. They can come back and literally take you to court and put garnishment on you, just like a telephone bill or something like that if you don't pay your bill. Provided that you have the actual. There's a lot of small companies that don't have contracts, and that's where they end up getting screwed, is because they don't have a contract to be able to go and do something like that off of. But if you're a legitimate company, you have an actual contract in place, then yeah, they can go back and actually go back on the driver for not meeting his end of his obligations. Absolutely, 100%. Now, it's going to be up to the company at that point in time whether or not he's going to do that or not. But the fact of the matter is yeah, there's a lot of times where you can do that, and it's going to cost the company a little bit of money to get it done, to get the lawyers involved.
Understandable.
But yeah. So all right. So as far as semis.
Ooh, Dan, you're up to 11 people and 3 minutes to go.
Wow. I think this is probably going to go a little bit longer than that. So as far as like your semis, okay. So we already established that we both know that if you want to run a dedicated lane, the ideal situation is to run a semi of some sort, whether or not it's a van, refrigerated, but it's definitely going to be a semi of some sort. I know without a shadow of a doubt, you'd be able to get a dedicated lane from Detroit to Indianapolis or Detroit down to Nashville or something like that, to where you could actually run that lane every single solitary day, day in and day out, all throughout the week, simply because you just have the weight to be able to carry.
Yep.
On Hotshot, you're not going to have a dedicated lane. Semi, what you could, if you're running regional like that, what you consider regional, you could probably be home, what, every other night?
Yeah.
Maybe twice a night, something like that, or twice a week. Twice a week at least. So if that's what you're really looking for, then probably Hotshot isn't for you. It's probably going to be running a semi. But then you have to worry about getting beat up while you're driving down the road because you're
in a day cab. Yeah.
What's that?
You're in a day cab, yeah.
If you're in a day cab, or well, even if you're in a road tractor, you're still not. Still going to get beat up. Not unless you're in like one of those big fancy ones.
Well,
You know, the ones that
nice and fancy.
got like a 13-foot sleeper on.
You got to spend the money, Dan.
No,
Spend the money.
I'm telling you, no, I can't see spending that kind of money on something. No way.
They look good though.
They look nice. Don't get me wrong.
They definitely look good.
So
You never really touched base on you said you did oversized loads?
Yeah.
You haven't touched much about that. What?
It was a very short time.
That's all the permitting?
Yeah.
Did you ever get stuck where you had to set and wait till you got the next permit for the next state?
Nope. I only ran in in Indiana. I only did Indiana. I didn't go out of state with it. I just did it in Indiana.
well, but at that point, you can have a blanket permit though.
Yeah, but I didn't care for it.
Really, I used to love doing oversize. Oversize
Well,
was freaking the bomb.
It was, hey, I got oversized. Can you do it? Yeah, sure. And then it became like a routine thing. All right, I'll do it. I don't care.
Well, it's because nobody else wants to do
Nobody
it.
else wants to.
That's
See, it was
sucker.
It was equipment
Yeah,
on a low boy,
yeah.
and it was actually like one of those big, like bridge pavers.
Ah,
So it wasn't the funniest thing. I didn't care for it. And it was like, oh no, we'll secure it for you. You just drive the truck. I don't know.
Not so much secure, right? So, like, when you have that oversize, you have to have people in the front
it depends on the width.
Yeah, not for what I was doing. I did.
or over height. You ever had to deal with the over height?
Nope, not with.
So, okay. I was going to say, now will that come out of your pocket, or would that be for the person that had to pay for it to pay for that extra?
Typically, most generally, the company. Well, it depends on how the company breaks everything down. There are companies out there who do expect you to pay it out of pocket. Then there are other companies that cover that, and then they reimburse the driver some way somehow. When I did the oversize, I ran high pole, which is your lead car, and then I ran what you consider like kind of a super load, which is about anything over 15 feet, I think is what it was at that time. I used to do oversized fiberglass swimming pools, and I mean, being 15 foot wide, you have to have a lead car, and you have to have a follow car. If you anything, depending on the state, Arkansas I think is 12 feet. You have to have a pilot car in the rear. I'd have to go back through my permit book and actually find out, but I never did any heavy haul though. I've done it on the brokerage side of things where I've actually had to work with guys to do the heavy haul stuff. But heavy haul is a lot different than your typical oversize. That's where you get into a lot more problems, I would assume, based upon being heavy and instead of being wide. I'd much rather be wide than heavy.
I'll take the heavy.
You like the heavier side.
Heavy hitter.
Well,
Casey says he'll never do oversized, and then Tina says, I can't hear Curtis well. I know he's louder than that.
You just want to hear my voice, Tina. That's all that is.
Oh, there it is.
So, I mean, do you guys think we've touched on a lot of things? Do you guys have a lot more questions that you guys want to know some answers from? And if you do, go ahead and put them up there so we can kind of touch base. I know I'm not paying attention to the chat.
I got you covered, homie.
Okay.
Logan says, I'll be later at work for a bit longer. LOL. I don't know who Logan is. Got any more stories for us there, Curtis, while we're waiting?
I did heavy haul with Maverick. I did. I ran a dedicated lane for Maverick, picking up out of Reynolds Aluminum in Blooming, Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Okay.
I ran that, and then I did picked up a heavy haul aluminum brick out of Atlanta going back, and I think I was like 90,000 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
So while we're waiting for some more questions here, I want your best story of driving truck, and I want your worst nightmare story of driving truck.
Oh man.
And it can be Hotshot, it can be dump, it can be anything.
Now wait a minute. I don't want to be thrown underneath the bus here now because
No, we're putting you on the spot.
Put you on the spot.
You bring us on live, we're gonna get live right now.
well, to be honest with you, I'd much rather be truthful than say out here and lie out my butt. I mean, it's the way it works. I mean, it's you got to tell people the truth because if you don't tell them the truth, then it's not going to do you any good.
So Brandy writes, before you get started on this, Brandy writes in, so is Hotshot or semi better? Basically, it's all depending on the person and the lifestyle.
It depends on the driver and what they're looking for
And what they want to spend.
and what they want to spend. If they want to be minimal as far as the overhead expense, I think Hotshot. If you're willing to go out there and run and make the money, then go for a Hotshot. You want to be home just about every night or kind of whatever, or if you want to stay out and run a semi, you can do it.
You kind of touched the base right here. What she's asking for the next question is your top 5 pros and cons of semi and Hotshot.
Well, before we go there, hold on one second. So, so here's the question that I've got for you.
Okay.
If you are wanting to be home every night or every other, let's say 2 times a week. If you're that gentleman who wants to be home twice a week, would you even attempt to own your own truck and be a leased operator?
As a semi driver?
As a semi driver?
I'd say no.
No.
You got to be out there, man. You
There's
got to be getting the miles.
And the main reason why is because you got to think about your maintenance. You got to make the money to cover your maintenance expenses. Like, it's not cheap running a semi.
Right.
When you factor in your fuel, you factor in, hell, tires alone. I think I just seen at Lowe's, you get 2 tires for like $600. So you gotta run the miles to make the money, to cover expenses.
You might as well times your car maintenance to your semi maintenance by at least 6, if not more times.
If not more.
Almost 10 times, I'm guessing.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not like your semi is only going to take 6 quarts of oil. I mean, come on, people.
So let me ask you this: if you were, let's say, you're home every weekend, do you think that that's the threshold of when it starts making sense to actually have your own truck to be a leased operator, or would you be better off being a company driver still, even on a 5-day turn?
I think you can do either one at that point.
Either one at that point.
I still
running a semi.
Running a semi, either one.
Okay.
You can be a company driver. You can be an owner operator. At that point, you're just running the 5 days. Just stick to company. If it was me, it's just to stick to the company, because why have the overhead? Why have the mindset of, okay, did I make enough money to get this truck fixed? Or better yet, my truck is now down. Come that Friday, I can't run it all next week because our truck's in the shop.
Or 2 weeks, or however long it's going to take.
Or you're stuck with that load because you're down.
because you are down. So you got to think about that. And at that point, it's better to just be a company driver, in my opinion, versus to own your own truck.
And that's running on a 5-day term. And
Running on a 5-day term.
again, that's going to be dependent on the driver and what he's wanting to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's not going to change. I mean, it'll change a little bit if you decided, that you want to be a 2-week term.
Now, I will say, if you can get you a dedicated lane on a 5-day deal that's actually paying something, then that's a different story as far as owner-operator goes. So, it's a gamble. I still say it's all about what you want to do as far as the driver and the person whose mindset it is.
So it's really not the equipment is what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's really the mindset of the driver and what you're having the ability to be able to do on that truck is going to make the difference. It's not necessarily, you're saying that it's really not one or the other. It's really not a Hotshot or it's really not a semi. It's what you as a driver are willing or what you're wanting to do.
It has to be what you want as a person. It's
See, what a lot of guys don't understand is when you're a lease owner operator, the company cannot force you to do anything. So there's a lot of times where the driver has to make his own choices to be able to, okay, I'm going to take this load, or I'm going to go home 2 days early this week, or mama wants a new washing machine and she says, so you pay for the washing machine, and then your truck breaks down the next day, and now you don't have enough money to cover it because you've been kind of frivolous with what you've got going on. So it boils down to what the driver's wanting to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what company you work with. There's always going to be a problem with a company regardless.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. One way or the other, the company in one hand can be the greatest in the world, and then the next day they could be the worst. And it depends on how you as a driver is looking at that company and working with them to be able to make something happen.
Oh my God, with him sitting here talking to you this way and throwing his hands around, he looks like Maury Povich.
I look like Maury Povich?
Yep, just talking. I'm like, bring me the results.
You're something else, man.
Let's bring me the results.
bringing you the
Okay.
results.
Well, hey, I feel like we've kind of touched on a few things here. I mean,
I want to go back to ask Brandy's question again. I don't want to leave her out.
Oh, the top 5 pros and cons, or is Hotshot or semi better? I think you already touched on the Hotshot semi better, but the top 5 pros and cons of semi and Hotshot.
that's a good one.
So the top 5 pros of a
Let's start the top 5 pros for a Hotshot. Let's start
for a
there.
Hotshot.
For a Hotshot.
Smaller units.
Oh, Tina says you are the father.
Hey, wait a minute. How'd that go? Call me daddy. Is that what it was?
Uh-oh, Cena.
Is that what it was, Tina?
You see, you opened a box there, Tina.
Flexibility.
Is that the number one? The number one pro?
Is what?
That the flexibility, as you're saying, is the number one pro.
Flexibility is the main one. The smaller units, maneuverability in a Hotshot compared to a semi is phenomenal, in my opinion.
Some of the stories that people have told me that you have to get yourself into in a dock is just absolutely nuts.
Or the fact that I delivered to a guy's house 2 weeks ago
Yeah, true.
and backed up like 0.2 miles down the driveway. But, whatever. The fuel is a big one. That's definitely a pro for the hot shots.
I didn't touch base on that. So some guys, and I know we're talking about the pros, but you've got some guys who tell me that they literally can get 9 miles to a gallon in a semi. Is that factual information?
Yes.
You can do that.
Yes.
How do you do that?
It depends on the truck.
Depends on the truck.
It depends on the truck.
Now,
Is the automatic or the manual better?
Now that depends on the driver. As far as fuel goes,
Yeah.
Automatic. In my honest opinion, automatic is better. But see, there's so much that ties into it. At Maverick, I was getting 9 miles to the gallon.
Okay.
But I ran super singles and I was running a 12-speed automatic with a DD15.
DD15. Okay.
Tina come back and says, "Watch your mouth, boss man." Casey said empty bobtail.
Empty bobtail.
And then, but in my 10-speed manual Volvo with that Caterpillar motor in it, I'm only getting like 7. You know, so
See, a lot. I've in all the conversations that I've talked with guys in regards. Typically, your vans are typically going to be around your 6 mile a gallon because they're up higher in the air. You got a lot of that wind drag, and then your skateboards or your flatbeds are typically going to get a little bit better. So you might be able to eke around 8 miles to a gallon, provided that you keep your foot out of it.
But a lot of your vans now got so much aerodynamic underneath and around the
saying,
back.
now, things have changed so much now.
Really,
Oh yeah,
You can
you
get
got them
that
flaps
10
all
miles.
over the place, man.
really.
But see, in flatbedding, as far as semi goes, it boils down to that tarp. You got a tarp flapping in the wind, but you're not
It's gonna
getting
catch
nothing.
You're not getting anything.
You're not getting nothing.
Okay.
You're just gonna be like Captain Morgan trying to sail across the sea to give you some
I'm telling you.
bruise, man.
So okay, so we're on number 2 for the pros on the Hotshot.
We're going 2 or 4. 3.
You
3.
said
It was 3. 3.
Yep,
My
3.
bad. 3. 3.
And let me see. What else can I say about Hotshot? The wait times, getting in and out of shippers, I would say is another one.
That's a
That's
pro.
a pro.
Okay.
And then
so. That's 4, right?
Yeah.
And number 5, your last one.
the pay. Or no. The maintenance.
The maintenance.
Maintenance.
I kind of like to pay a little bit better there, Curtis.
I'll take maintenance.
Maintenance. Okay. All right. So you think that the maintenance is definitely less on a Hotshot than now? That's going to probably vary depending on how many miles you have on your shot, though, too.
Yeah.
So if you've got a newer Hotshot, you're probably not going to spend as much in maintenance on that truck until you get 300,000 miles roughly,
Yeah.
maybe 250,
You
somewhere in
wanna
that
push it
ballpark.
far.
Normally, when we calculate the mileage that we're going to get out of a Hotshot, typically we say the Hotshot's done at 300,000. So we depreciate all of our trucks in at 300,000 miles.
Well, that also depends on how the person driving is too. I'd still say.
Yeah,
I mean,
is.
300,000. I get what you're saying, but if you got a lead foot that's just dropping it to the floor the whole time instead of trying to, take it easy and you just don't care because it's not his equipment beating it, you're not going to get 300,000 out of it.
No, you're not. You'll probably get 20,000 out of it. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
But at the same time, anytime you do this, you got to kind of calculate how long your equipment's going to last.
Yeah. And
if you take care of your equipment, typically we try to make sure that the equipment's done and out by 300,000 miles, especially on a Hotshot. A semi, they say you can get 750 on it before you have to have an in-frame. I would have to assume that that's going to be pretty much dependent on the type of motor you're running, whether or not it's got, it has like emissions problems or anything like that. I mean,
Depends on how many. If that truck runs 24 hours a day and you got slip seaters and all of that stuff, everybody drives trucks different. I ran into a guy he used to work for, and he bought some trucks, and then I think 2 or 3 months later he was doing in-frames on them.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So back on hers is the cons.
Of Hotshot?
It says the top 5 pros and cons
And
of
cons.
semi
So-
and Hotshot.
The cons of Hotshot, I would say.
Your boss.
Yeah, no.
There you go, Tijuana. Got you in there.
Nah.
Wait a minute. I've got to defend myself here. I think I'm a pretty decent guy to get along with.
Man, you're not bad.
I'm not bad.
You're not
Get
too
real.
bad.
Come on, man.
I would say with cons, I would say that the weight restrictions.
That would have to definitely be a con.
I still feel like DOT picks us a lot more than they do semis.
Well, to put and answer that is how many guys are out there that are running illegal as hell, running these hotshot rigs. There's a lot of guys out there, and I hate to say this, but there's a lot of guys out there that should not be out there running their own authority. They don't know what they're doing. They just don't know, and that's one of the reasons why they pick on us so hard. But go on.
I would say the cheap rates. Not all times, but sometimes we get some rates that are pretty bad.
Yeah.
Just because we are hot shots. Probably all I can really think about as far as the times go.
Well, that the rates also go along too. You can still run the really crappy rates on that 18 tray.
On the 18 wheeler,
you still run shit rates on 18 wheelers. There's a lot of guys who run $1 a mile loads on 18 wheelers, and it's ridiculous why they do something like that. But it is what it is.
Oh, I got another con. Just there's so many people out here trying to do hot shot now, like you said, that don't know what they're doing, and they're driving rates down.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah,
they're just bidding and throwing a number out there, not understanding what they're really doing.
Right.
So that's definitely another con. That's probably all I really got as far as the hot shot goes. As far as semis go,
let's start with the pros.
Pros on a semi. You can make the mileage without a problem. You can, rates are pretty decent. You can also get the weight. There's always loads for a semi. And that's about all I got for a semi.
For the pros.
Oh, sleeping is comfortable.
Yeah, you can make sleeping pretty comfortable in a shop, but it takes a special person to be able to make that work. Yeah.
Semis you can cook in sometimes.
Yeah.
Now we got who was that, Jordan? He cooks in his hot shot.
Oh, don't want to bring him up in his cooking.
He makes gourmet meals on his shot.
He's chef where
I don't know how the hell he does that.
Chef Beefaroni.
And
So what? So what do you eat then? I mean, obviously, what? Chef Yordi?
Yeah, there's another one.
No,
I can try all the restaurants in the world if I want to, because I'm in a pickup truck.
That is true.
Yeah. So I mean, like, if you're out, do you make your own meals?
No.
You're fast fooding it.
Restaurant.
So you're not a Rotten Ronnie person?
I will.
You will?
And sometimes I will, but there's some times where Teddy can't find me a load and I'm sitting for a day, which doesn't really happen too often. But
so I mean, if you got your list, let's say you got Buffalo Wild Wings, you got your Applebee's with Sizzler, but they ain't there no more, and you got yourself a buffet and a Rotten Ronnie's and let's see, an Arby's. That's what one more. That's I can't think of the burrito place.
Kudoba's.
Huh?
Kubotas or Qdoba?
Chipotle. So if you had that list and you could pull in anywhere, which one you taking?
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
I'd have to say the same thing. Buffalo Wild Wings. Yep. Provided that the chicken's cooked correctly, because man, I tell you what, that's not a good deal.
Yep.
That's not a good deal when you're in a shot. When you get bad chicken. And the cons. What do you got on the cons for the semi?
Maintenance, fuel, wait times at shippers.
Do you have to deal with? I don't know if you can cuss on this thing, but do you have to deal with much?
Don't cuss him.
A-holes with being as hot shot as, like you said, you had to back down someone's driveway for quite a bit of difference. I mean, is it more laid back with those people you're delivering to homes or whatever compared to being a semi driver and coming up and being, hey, wait, what, giving you the business?
Believe it or not, I actually get more respect being in a hot shot from customers
than being
shippers and receivers in semis. And I get a lot of people that say semi drivers are just a-holes. They're so rude and disrespectful that they actually enjoy dealing with hot shotters because we're here to do a job and we're here to go home.
Oh, Tina says you threw her under the bus. And she says, nah, he freaking gets these backwoods barbecue places and sends me pics. And she said, oops, I cussed, but I didn't say that for her.
That is a very valid point. Our customers that we work with, which we don't name our customers, but each and every one of them will tell us the exact same thing. You have drivers when you're dealing with semis that you have drivers that just don't care. And they'll get out of their trucks and flip flop. I mean, I'm a little bit of a bigger guy, but I'm not huge.
Yeah, you step on the tarp wrong, you go for a roll.
You know, and I've fallen off of a trailer before. You know, it happened when we were loading over at
The yard.
you know, and
I'll finish your sentence.
it
For you.
happens.
It's okay.
But you know, the fact of the matter is a lot of our customers will say the exact same thing. They'll be like, "Man, these guys that just come in here, they're either not want to say too bad on them, but some of them will come in and sit there and, man, these guys are just slobs, or they stink, or they haven't showered in a couple of days, and it's nasty, and then or their trucks catch on fire in the bay. I've had a couple. I've had one of my customers come up and tell me that. It is what it is, but I mean, I think when you're dealing with hotshot guys, you're dealing with a different caliber of individual for the most part.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have drivers, and then you have quality drivers, and then you have drivers that are just, how do I say this politely?
They don't care.
They just don't give a crap. They
live like pigs.
Right.
I mean, you shouldn't call them that, but I mean, when you see somebody strolling up out of that truck and the way they're walking and talking, and you can see just you know what you're getting.
Well, I mean, you've got some guys, and I don't want to make a comment about bigger people because I'm not thin, but at the same time, you have some guys that are just incredibly large that can barely get out of their trucks.
Oh, and Casey comes in and says, "A lot lizards leave hot shots alone."
A lot of times, that is the truth. Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
We don't have enough room for them.
We better not have any room for them, Curtis.
We don't have enough room for them.
Dirty, nasty thing.
Not saying that I've ever indulged in any.
You ever have anybody come up to you?
In a semi, yeah.
In a semi, yeah.
Alabama.
I was in the last time that something like that. I was in Tobiana, PA. I believe it was Tobiana. They got a TA there, right? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I would think it was at the TA there in Tobiana. And this has been years ago. And these two chicks come up to me. And I'm like, I know where this is going. I'm going in. I went in and got food at the Iron Skillet.
Yep.
And went in and sat down and I left that alone.
So, have you ever been to a Wawa?
No.
Gas station in Pennsylvania.
I have. Nope.
Are they as great as they say they are?
They're pretty clean.
I mean, I guess these things are like all over the place in Pennsylvania and New York.
You go up in
New Jersey.
Northeast, yes.
And I'm guessing they're like only a couple. There's some of them that's only a couple blocks away. I mean, like bang, you see one, and then you see another one.
They're
Because
very clean.
as you see, I'm an Eagles fan, and they talk about Wawa all the time and their subs. Have you ever had one of their subs?
I don't think so.
Imagine that.
Don't think so.
Oh, you got a couple comments here.
What kind of comments we got?
Got any part T jobs for my days off? Part time, I guess. That's Logan. And he said time, lol. I am a semi and all the time PA, TA, CA.
PATA.
Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and California.
Yeah. So he runs a semi truck then?
That was Casey, it says that.
Oh, that was Casey.
And then Dawn's got something there. Oh, Casey comes in and says Wawa is good.
Yeah. So do you think? Is there anything else you want to kind of elaborate? I mean, have we touched on a lot of things? I mean,
I don't feel comfortable about it. I think we did good.
I think so.
I think we hit just about every little point that we could.
Do you think that we gave enough information for guys who are looking to possibly make the change or make the switch?
I would say yes, but I know there's still a lot of people that have questions about the difference or getting into hot shotting to make that switch. And the best advice I can give you is just to really think what you want your lifestyle to be to make that transition.
One of the last questions I've got for you here is, do you regret getting into Hotshot?
I would say no. I don't regret it. I'll take everything as a lesson.
Okay.
I like to learn new things. I like to try out different things. I like to see what works for me. So I don't regret anything that I've done, honestly, as far as my jobs and stuff go. I've made my mistakes in hotshotting.
Okay.
I've had employees and it's cost me, but I bounce back and I keep going. You know what I mean? I don't regret it though.
One of the things you've always got to look at when you're looking at trying to, because you're looking to be more of an agent, and the thing is when you're in that type of a category, you've got to find the correct driver that is going to be willing to do the same thing that you would be willing to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that can be very difficult to do. But you also run into that too whenever you run into the semis, whenever you're working the semis. I know plenty of guys who have lost their tails simply because they didn't have the right driver in the semi, and that driver literally beat the living crap out of the truck.
Yep.
Because of one shape, form, fashion, or the other. And you're going to run into the same situation when you run into a hotshot too. You have to find the right driver. You got to find the right person to work the truck the way it needs to be worked. So you don't regret doing any hot shotting or anything like that?
I don't regret the hot shot.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Are we going to keep you for another couple of years?
We'll talk about it.
Oh my God! Here
We gotta get that contract out. Show me the money.
Show me the money.
Get it in the green. Show me the money.
Well,
So Tina wants me to, or not me, but say something about what Dawn says. Previous dealing with drivers coming from big trucks. I would rather deal with a new driver or a hotshot driver. Not always, but I've dealt with a lot of previous semi-drivers that act like the trucking world revolves around them and the rules do not apply to them.
Yeah, and that's a valid statement, Don. There are a lot of drivers out there that think that the world revolves around them, and
You're going to have that with anybody.
you're going to have that with anybody. But when the dispatchers or when the people are caught up in the middle, I think we'll go ahead and take this one step further. I have an issue with a lot of drivers sometimes because people don't understand how difficult it is to work with direct customers. We actually ran into this a couple of days ago, not with you, but with another one of our guys. And when you work with customers, sometimes you don't get the ability to pick and choose what you want to do. Your customers are hiring you for a reason. They're not wanting to pick up the phone and call you up and say, hey, I've got this order for you to take. And then you're going to sit there and tell them, well, I don't have time to do that right now, or I don't run that direction, or I'm not going to do this, or so on and so forth. Because what they'll do is they'll hang up the phone and they'll call 3 or 4 other guys who are willing to do something like that. And it gets very difficult at times because if you're dealing with a semi guy, because he's got so many loads that are available to him, he has the ability to turn all that stuff down and not have any really big recourse because there's 15 or 20 other loads that are behind him. Now, that may reflect against your customer, though. Your customer may get seriously bent out of shape because you're not taking care of them. But the thing is you could go to a broker or you could go somewhere else and pick up another load, and it's not going to be the driver's not going to give two craps about it.
Right.
However, it could cause a lot of problems for the company that you're working with because they only have so much capacity to deal with. So sometimes it's a catch-22, but Don is exactly right. A lot of the semi guys, some of them can be incredibly difficult to work with because they think that a lot of things revolve around them. And, like I've said before, drivers, it's a symbiotic relationship. You got to have the company to make things work, and then you need to have the drivers to be able to make that work for the company. You can't do one without the other. They all go hand in hand, period. However, sometimes the driver thinks it's more on his instead of the company that actually takes care of everything than him, and it's just sometimes it needs to be pushed back in the other direction. So, and then sometimes the company fails and they're not doing what they need to do for the driver. But as long as the company's putting forth a good faith effort, I think it ends up working out pretty well. So, but
I think too, a lot of people get into hotshotting thinking that ELDs is not mandated,
yeah,
or there's no DOT regulations as far as, you know, running the logbooks or load securements or anything of that nature. So they think the rules don't apply. It's exactly what Don is saying. Like, no, I can get in a hot shot. I don't have to do anything but just drive the truck and be free.
right.
And that's not the case in this situation.
Yeah, it's not the case.
So I got 3 more things.
Okay.
One quick one, and I got one more question and another thing. All right. I'm surprised we haven't heard from Steve. I want to be a man tonight. I don't know where he's been. He's been gone of the past couple casts here. Brandy comes back and says, Curtis, what was the deciding factor for you to decide ultimately to run Hotshot? The number one, I'm guessing she's asking.
My number one thing to run the hot shot, the truck.
The truck.
The truck. I'm not gonna lie to you.
What about the truck?
It's beautiful. I mean, just
You've also got to realize too, when you run Hotshot too, you can take that truck and you can use it as a grocery. I call it a grocery getter, but there's times where you can instead of literally just using it for nothing but work, you can actually use it for, like, if you want to unhook the trailer and you want to take the decals off the side of the truck, you can run that as a personal truck. So you don't have to have 2 different
Right.
trucks.
yeah. You get hung out one weekend and you want to go see the city.
All right, Tina, come in with one last one. That's it for the night. I'm going to have to say, if you guys are ready for it.
What's
For the
that?
plug. Oh, now Dawn's coming in with one too. Now, then you have a Hawkeye dispatcher, she says. Tina's trying to give herself a little bit of credit online right now.
Oh my God! Here we go.
She does exceptional. I'll give her credit. She does great.
Dawn comes in and says, we have dealt with that as dispatchers. We've had multiple brokers tell me that because we run hot shots, that we do not have to have held or follow the hours of service. I think she had a little misspell there. But
Yeah, that's a big misconception, and a lot of times when brokers or shippers, regardless of what it is, if they come back and they say you don't have to follow the hours of service, clearly they don't understand what they've got to do, and it's our job to educate them. We have to let them know, no, we can't do that. We can do it, but any other truck can do it too. It's just with us, we're going to make sure we run legal. It's as simple as that. If you don't want to run legal, then my company is not the company for you. You stay away from us. We run a legitimate legal company, and if people don't like that, then that's just tough shit.
it was ELD. Sorry, she put it together and I didn't realize
So
that.
the ELDs,
Yeah, my bad.
well, we still fall in the same category as if it's a 99 or older truck, we don't have to have the ELDs. The problem is that creates a back office problem, because now you have to have somebody to actually manually audit those logs that come in from the drivers, which costs additional money. And that's the whole reason why there's a lot of companies that, because they are running ELDs, they either pick one side of the fence or the other. You either the fleet will be nothing but 99 pre 99s, or they'll all be after that. And the reason being is because they don't want to have to hire somebody just for this particular truck, that particular truck, this just to audit and to go back through all their safety. So it's much easier on the digital form to be able to get all that stuff worked out.
So Casey says now you need the LDs, DOT physicals, and the drug testing.
Yeah. Now, technically, if you're for the guys who are running the non-CDL class, for the most part, they don't have to be drug tested. You have to have a drug test when you first get in, but as far as being inside of the consortium, you don't have to have that. That we do, though. Every one of our drivers is a part of that consortium, and they have to do that. But if you're the CDL qualified guys, you have to be drug tested, and that's all required by law. So, any other questions before we cut it quits for the night.
Tina says, I'm not trying to give us credit. It's how we were trained. We take pride in following the rules and have good ratings.
Yeah, we actually do a fairly good job, and I appreciate it. Ladies, thanks a lot for everything that you guys are doing right now. You guys are we are making significant strides on our safety reports, which is awesome. We're doing an amazing job. The drivers are doing a great job. Some people need to watch their speed, though.
Wasn't me.
It wasn't you.
Wasn't me.
But all in all, we're doing a phenomenal job on that. Any final thoughts, Bob?
I just kind of want to know, need those comebacks or people to let us know how we're doing, what's, touch base with us. Haven't really heard anything back. I mean,
I know.
have you got any messages? I mean,
We're
obviously
not
must be
really.
doing something good.
I think
Or maybe we're just that horrible. I mean,
maybe.
we're up to 10 live people tonight, but
Give everybody a little bit of a rundown. We've had just in the last viewings that we've had. What was our last numbers? We had 21,000. I think is what.
I have
our
no
reach
idea.
was. I think it was 21,000. Total viewing of last week's view was a little over. The whole stream tonight seemed disjointed to me. What do you mean by disjointed?
All over the place.
You think we're all over the place? Or do you think that we were just not? What do you mean? Is it because of the camera settings? What do you think, Brandy? All over the place tonight? Yeah, I'm sorry about that. We kind of went a long time. I tried to keep it. We're going to do this again. I plan on trying to get, if Casey's willing to sit down and talk, we'd like to. Entire interview was hard to follow. Okay. Well, I'll definitely start to improve. Like I said, I'm not perfect at this, and I've got a lot to learn when it comes.
Thanks
to
for the
these
feedback.
podcasts.
Really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Yeah, we definitely like the feedback. Even if it's brutal, I'd much rather you be brutally honest than lie to us. So the main goal is to become better.
We're just trying to get this thing rolling better to keep moving on. I mean, if we can't get feedback, we don't know, and it's just going to fail.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we keep this going. I really enjoy doing this.
We'll make sure Curtis is here every night now.
No, we can't make sure Curtis is here every night.
Curtis will not be here every night.
Tina said she will make you a spot on the live video on Thursday night.
Hopefully, I don't know what we're going to do for next week's live cast. Don't know yet. I'm still thinking about it. Leanne's got a couple of good suggestions.
Maybe try to get some notes, maybe hit some important points that you think really needs to be out there.
That's probably a good one. Yeah, we'll probably end up having to do that. I try to do this. The thing is Bub tells me all the time.
Casey says he'll do one if you want.
Yeah, honestly, if we can do one with Casey, I'd also like to get one with Jeff. All three of you guys have actually come from running semis.
Why don't we get two of them in at the same time? Casey and Jeff. If you can squeeze it.
Sometimes it's a little difficult to do because they're all over the place. The guys aren't.
You got Thanksgiving weekend coming up. They gonna be on the road?
Probably not, but they probably have their own families they got to handle. So
I understand that too. A lot of people ain't gonna be doing stuff either because of
that
this.
is true. So, but you guys, if you got anything, give us some suggestions of what we need to do. I love the suggestions.
No, she said no. That's too much at once. 2 at a time.
I know. I'll definitely try to get Casey in here, and I'm going to try to get Jeff in here too. Those guys have ran semis before. Casey, I believe, has got 11 years of experience running a rig. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Casey. I think you have 11. Is that right? And I know Jeff, he's got, I think he has 9. So, but
12 in December.
12 in December. Okay. So, we're going to sit down with Casey eventually, and we're going to try to have some sort of a question. and hopefully I'll have stuff actually written down that time. But anyways, what I was saying is I try to fly by the seat of my pants a little bit, simply because.
And his pants are huge.
Yeah, my pants are huge. Bub always tells me that I sound like an English teacher, and I feel as though that if I'm reading off of a notebook, it's going to make me sound that much worse.
That's gonna be a whole lot worse.
Shut up, dude.
You've watched it before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Come on now. What do you think? Old English teacher, like you're sitting in a professor, be like, blah, 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 blah.
College professor.
College professor.
I want this to be some sort of a good time. I want this to be kind of entertaining, but at the same time, I want to try to
It's
get
fun time Thursday night.
Yeah,
Let's
fun
go.
time Thursday night. So, anyways, I think that's going to be all for tonight. If you guys have any suggestions, put them in the comments. I'll read them. And then want to give a big shout out to Curtis. Thanks a lot for being here tonight.
No problem.
Thanks a lot for Bub again.
Oh, Brandy comes in and says, no notebook, just like cue cards like Drew Carey holds on The Price is Right.
I'll
You know what? I like the cue cards thing because I was going to bring that up. I was actually going to make some up like, born English teacher, put it on the camera right here as he's talking. Thanks for taking that away. That's a good idea, though. He should have something. We need to have a buzzer. Maybe I should put a shock collar on it. Like, it's shocking. So, like, hey, you're spending too much time on one topic, you know? He's not having a seizure. It's okay. It's just a shock collar.
Oh, man.
see what I got to deal with. You see what I
It's
got
all
to deal with?
good. It's all good.
Anyways, guys.
I can retire. I told you.
I know. Anyways, I appreciate everybody showing up tonight. Thanks a lot. Hey, one last thing. Make sure you guys let me know what you guys think about the intro and the outro. I'd really like to know. Like I said, my kids like it.
As long as I get the buzzer.
No, you don't get no buzzer.
Not me. That's what Brandy said.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, we're going to call it a night.
Yep. Thanks, Curtis, for coming tonight.
Yeah.
Nice to meet
No
you.
problem.
And go Eagles this weekend over the Giants.
Whatever. They're going to bomb.
And go Bengals for Curtis. Are they on a bye week or you got a game this week?
I don't go for the Bengals.
I thought you said you were a Bengals fan.
Never said I was a Bengals fan.
Oh, you did too earlier.
No, I didn't. He said nothing of the sort.
Nothing of the. He said
That was somebody else. Never mind.
That
My
was
bad.
somebody else. Yeah, you misrep. So.
Yeah.
All right, guys. You guys have a good one. We'll talk to you later. Thanks a lot. Appreciate
That was
it.
Casey.
Later, guys.
Later.